The film kicks off during the Christmas festivities. We follow a mysterious stranger as he walks into a Christmas tree shop. He meets the owner and hands over a bag stuffed with cash. In exchange, the owner gives him a car key, telling him the package is inside. But the second the owner touches the money, disaster strikes. He starts choking, collapses, and dies right on the spot. It's clear the cash was laced with a deadly poison. The stranger isn't done. He murders the owner's assistant and sets the entire shop on fire. He then calmly walks to the car and unlocks it. We then cut to our hero, Ethan, waking up and gently waking his wife, Nora. They get dressed and leave the house for their jobs. During the commute, they talk about Nora's pregnancy. She's absolutely thrilled to be pregnant. Nora then asks Ethan to do something important, reapply to the police academy. We learn here that Ethan applied once before, but was rejected. Nora still believes Ethan has all the makings of a great police officer, plus it's been his dream for as long as he can remember. He promises her he'll think about it.
They soon arrive at their workplace, the airport. However, they both work in different areas. Ethan has to sprint to his post because he's late. It turns out Ethan is an airport security guard. He bursts into a briefing that his boss, Phil, is holding for the security team. Naturally, Ethan arrives just as the meeting ends, which really annoys Phil.
Afterward, Ethan talks with his colleague, Jason. It's clear Jason is fed up with Ethan's attitude at work. He's always late, and most of the time, he's completely unfocused. All this confirms that Ethan hates this job. The proof is that he hasn't been promoted in ages, unlike the rest of his colleagues. Jason warns Ethan that he needs to wake up before it's too late, reminding him he's about to be a father and needs to be responsible. Jason's words hit home. Ethan goes to Phil and asks for extra shifts, explaining that he desperately needs a promotion. But Phil just scoffs at him, telling Ethan he can't trust him because his file is full of disciplinary actions. Phil dismisses him and walks into his office, but Ethan follows him, promising he'll change and begging for one last chance. Just then, Jason interrupts and makes a strange suggestion. Let him and Ethan swap posts for the day. Surprisingly, Phil agrees. We then move to the airport parking garage. We see a man park a large truck between the cars. It becomes clear this man has someone kidnapped inside the truck. He then opens a laptop and hacks into every security camera in the airport. Back to Ethan, who heads to his new post, Jason's station. Ethan's new job is to scan passengers' carry-on luggage before they board. Back in the truck, the man is coordinating with another criminal who is currently breaking into Jason's house. His plan was to kidnap Jason's wife and kids. But the man in the truck suddenly stops him. Why? Because he sees on the cameras that Ethan is sitting at Jason's post, not Jason. We learned the man in the truck is called the Controller. He's clearly part of a major operation set to take place at the airport. The Controller starts running a facial recognition scan on Ethan, quickly pulling up a ton of personal information. He then sends Ethan's picture to his associate inside the airport, updating him on the situation. And this associate? It's the same man who killed the Christmas tree shop owner. His code name is the Traveler. Moments later, a female passenger approaches Ethan and hands him a dish, claiming it isn't hers. Ethan takes it to put in the lost and found, but he's stunned to find a message inside, telling him to put an earpiece in his ear. Confused, Ethan does what the note says. He's even more confused when he hears the Traveler's voice, telling him he must cooperate or the day will end in disaster. At first, Ethan thinks it's just his coworker Eddie pulling one of his usual pranks. But then he sees Eddie across the terminal, working. That's when the Traveler starts listing off highly personal details about Ethan. Ethan panics. This guy knows things that only he and Nora should know. Ethan asks the Traveler what he wants. The Traveler tells him a specific passenger is coming through, and Ethan must let that passenger's bag pass through without inspection. Ethan asks what's in the bag. The Traveler refuses to answer and threatens that if Ethan doesn't comply, he will have Nora killed. Ethan, terrified, asks why they chose him. The Traveler reveals the chilling truth. We didn't choose you. We chose Jason, but fate intervened and you took his place today. Ethan immediately tries to call for help, but the controller sees him on the cameras and alerts the Traveler. The Traveler orders Ethan to put his phone in the lost and found drawer. With Nora's life on the line, Ethan has no choice but to obey. Meanwhile, Detective Elena arrives at the scene of the burnt-down Christmas tree shop. Her partner hands her the shop owner's watch. As Elena inspects it, she finds a hidden recording device inside. It's badly damaged, but Elena keeps it, telling her partner she's taking it to a specialist to try and recover whatever is on it. Back at the airport, Ethan tries to act normal while talking to the Traveler about the bag. He cleverly tries to record the conversation using his smartwatch, which transcribes the audio into text he can send as a message. But the controller spots the watch and tells the Traveler. The Traveler explodes at Ethan, ordering him to take the watch off and put it in the drawer with the phone. He warns Ethan that if he tries to alert the police or anyone else, Nora will die instantly. He tells him, "There is a sniper aimed at her head right now, just waiting for my command." At the tech lab, Elena meets with her specialist. He managed to recover an audio file from the device, but the sound is distorted. He tells her he'll keep working on it until he can get a clear sound. Back to Ethan, who's still on the line with the Traveler. As they talk, Ethan hears a background noise, a PA announcement that he hears in his own ear and through the earpiece. They're in the same place. He frantically scans the crowd around him until he spots the man. He sees him from behind. At that exact moment, Ethan is distracted from his job and a passenger starts yelling at him, being incredibly rude. Ethan snaps and pulls the passenger aside for a full manual bag search. He takes the man's ticket, pretending to verify it. It's clear Ethan has a plan. He secretly scribbles a message on the ticket. He then calls over a police officer, hands him the ticket, and claims he thinks the ticket is a forgery. The officer sees the hidden message, nods, and walks away. But then, Ethan sees the Traveler is no longer where he was. He watches in horror as the Traveler accidentally bumps into the police officer, apologizes, and walks away. A second later, the officer collapses and dies. The Traveler had injected him with the same poison. As a crowd gathers, the Traveler blends in, and Ethan watches him retrieve the ticket from the dead officer's pocket. For a second, Ethan and the Traveler lock eyes, face to face. The Traveler then turns and disappears into the crowd. Ethan takes a break, completely shattered by the officer's death. Suddenly, the Traveler sits down right across from him. He tells Ethan he must follow his instructions to the letter. He explains that he and his men are in complete control and warns that Nora could die at any second, just like the officer. He says he has a job to do and Ethan will help him. He describes the passenger with the bag. He'll be wearing a red hat. The Traveler insists that Ethan just needs to help him with this one task, and then they will both go their separate ways. Before leaving, Ethan asks if the bag contains anything that will harm the passengers. The Traveler replies, "Nobody gets hurt, as long as you do what I say." And with that, he leaves. When Ethan returns to his post, he gets another shock. Jason is sitting there. Ethan discovers Phil switched them back. He immediately tells the Traveler what happened. The Traveler is furious and orders Ethan to find a way to get Jason out of that seat. At that moment, Ethan notices Jason drinking a cup of coffee. He springs into action, goes to make a new cup, and pours alcohol into it. He goes back to Jason and distracts him, asking him to look for his phone. While Jason is distracted, Ethan swaps the spiked coffee with Jason's cup. Simultaneously, the Traveler walks up to Phil and reports that Jason appears to be drinking on the job. Phil goes over to Jason, smells the coffee, and realizes it's full of alcohol. Jason is stunned, trying to explain it's not his cup, but Phil doesn't believe him and sends him to be written up. Just like that, Ethan is back in the seat, and right on cue, he sees the man in the red hat. As the bag passes through the X-ray, Ethan's blood runs cold. Inside the bag is a bomb filled with poison gas. Ethan is horrified and panics, but he's trapped. He's forced to let the bag go through. But just before the passenger leaves, Ethan glances at his ticket and memorizes his name, Matthew, his flight number, and his seat number. At that exact moment, Elena hears the cleaned-up audio file.
She's shocked to hear the traveler's voice talking to the shop owner and saying a specific word in Russian. Elena searches the word online and is horrified to learn it's the name of a deadly nerve gas, one with no known antidote. She immediately calls the Ministry of Interior and reports her findings. Soon after, an investigator from the ministry named John arrives. But John seems skeptical of Elena's claims about the gas. As they're talking, Elena's partner informs her that an airport security guard named Ethan called 911 but hung up without saying anything, and his phone immediately went dead. Elena's suspicion skyrockets. She tells her partner to alert airport security of a potential threat and takes John with her as they race to the airport.
At the airport, Phil is holding another briefing, telling security they've received intel of a potential threat and must conduct random passenger checks. This is Ethan's chance. He manages to add Matthew's name to the random checklist.
Just then, Jason confronts Ethan. He knows what Ethan did with the coffee. He tells Ethan he never expected him to be so selfish and opportunistic. Ethan, consumed by guilt, can't even respond. Jason tells him their friendship is over and walks away. A moment later, the traveler sees Matthew being escorted by Phil for the random check. He gets on the earpiece and tells Ethan he knows this was his doing, ordering him to fix it now. But Ethan has had enough. He refuses, rips the earpiece out and runs to Nora to protect her. But as he reaches her, he sees it. A red laser dot aimed right at her head. It's the controller in the truck with his sniper rifle aimed at Nora. Terrified, Ethan shoves the earpiece back in. The traveler's voice is cold. You have 3 seconds to walk away from her or she dies. Ethan obeys and walks away, leaving Nora completely confused and scared. Ethan heads to the restroom. The traveler follows him in and attacks, knocking him to the ground. But Ethan fights back and manages to get the traveler's gun. Ethan aims the gun at him, planning to stall until Phil finds the bomb in Matthew's bag. But the traveler shocks Ethan. He remotely activates the bomb. He tells Ethan, "You have 12 minutes to disarm it, or this entire airport dies." He also warns him that the gun in his hand is 3D printed plastic. If he fires it too many times, it will overheat and explode. Ethan has no choice. He leaves the traveler and sprints to find the bomb. At that moment, Phil is in the inspection room with Matthew. Ethan bursts in, aiming the gun at Phil. He orders Phil to let Matthew take his bag and go. Phil, stunned by Ethan's betrayal, refuses. Suddenly, Matthew attacks Phil and kills him. Ethan is horrified and yells at Matthew, asking why he did it. But then Ethan stops. He sees an earpiece in Matthew's ear too. Matthew explains that he's being forced to do this, that they kidnapped his friend and are holding him hostage in their truck. They'll kill his friend if he doesn't obey. Ethan realizes they're both puppets. He has no choice but to disarm the bomb. Following the traveler's instructions through his own earpiece, he manages to deactivate it at the very last second.
Meanwhile, Elena and John are speeding toward the airport. Her partner calls with terrifying news. The real ministry representative is just now on his way. That means John is an imposter. Her partner also warns her that John's crew has compromised their communications. They know all about her call to the ministry. Elena pulls her gun and aims it at John, demanding to know who he works for. In response, John slams the accelerator and attacks her. A brutal fight breaks out, causing the car to flip. Elena manages to grab her gun and kill him. She climbs out of the wreckage, hijacks another car, and continues racing to the airport. Back at the terminal, Ethan and Matthew are heading for the plane. As they walk, the traveler gives Matthew a new order: kill Ethan. It turns out Matthew took the plastic gun from Ethan while he was disarming the bomb, but Ethan sees Matthew's reflection in a window as he raises the gun. He dodges the shot and runs for his life. Matthew chases him, firing repeatedly until the plastic gun overheats and explodes in his face.
Ethan grabs Matthew's phone and sends a text to his colleague, Eddie. He explains everything that's happening, describes the truck where Matthew's friend is being held, and begs him to find Nora and get her out of the airport before she's killed. At the same time, the traveler is tracking the bag, the bomb, on his phone and manages to intercept Ethan. He confronts Ethan, demanding the bag. Ethan refuses and tries to run. The traveler shoots him in the shoulder. Ethan falls but gets up and keeps moving. He finds himself in the main baggage handling area, surrounded by thousands of bags. He quickly swaps the bomb bag with an identical piece of luggage. Moments later, the traveler catches up and finds the wrong bag sitting there, with Ethan's earpiece placed on top. He scans the bag with his phone to check the tracker, assumes it's the right one, and walks away with it. We cut to Eddie, who finds Nora and shows her Ethan's text. At that exact second, Nora spots the controller's truck right outside. She sprints, running for her life. Inside, Elena has arrived and is frantically searching for Ethan. She finally finds him and holds him at gunpoint. Ethan quickly explains everything: the swap, the real bomb, the flight number, but Elena still tries to arrest him. Ethan shoves her to the ground, describing the traveler, who has the wrong bag, and what the real bomb bag looks like. Then he runs off. Outside, Nora is trying to escape the controller. Suddenly, Ethan appears and grabs her, hugging her tight. But the controller comes up behind Nora and raises his gun. Ethan spins, shielding Nora with his own body, bracing for the bullet. But then, they're shocked to see the controller get shot and fall to the ground. It was Matthew's friend. He managed to free himself from the truck, grabbed the sniper rifle, and killed the controller.
Ethan and Nora run back into the airport. Nora, who works in baggage tracking, immediately starts searching for the real bomb bag. We learn Ethan swapped the bomb into a bag with a specific barcode. He rattles off the barcode number to Nora. She finds it and identifies the plane it's on. She grabs the phone to call airport management and ground the flight, but Ethan stops her. He explains they can't stop the plane. They have to let everything proceed normally. If the traveler senses something is wrong, he'll detonate the bomb remotely.
Ethan tells Nora he can disarm the bomb himself. He tells her to find Elena and explain the plan. Then he leaves her and runs to board the plane. Meanwhile, Elena is on the phone with her partner and learns that a U.S. congresswoman is on that flight. Elena realizes she is the target. She decides to alert management and stop the plane. But just then, Nora finds her, explains the whole situation, and begs her not to stop the flight or the traveler will detonate the bomb. She tells her Ethan is on board and will stop it. Elena trusts her and stands down. At this point, Ethan has reached the plane. He manages to sneak into the cargo hold through a service hatch. He searches through the luggage until he finds the real bomb bag. He opens it and begins working to disable it. But the traveler, who was on the plane with the fake bag, gets an alert on his phone. The real bomb bag has been opened. He realizes he was tricked and that Ethan is on the plane. He gets up and heads for the cargo hold. He finds Ethan, raises his gun, and demands the bag. Ethan refuses. The traveler shoots him in the leg. At that moment, the pilot sees the struggle on the cargo cam, declares an emergency, and begins turning the plane back to the airport. Down in the hold, the traveler corners the wounded Ethan. He scoffs when he sees Ethan has put the bomb inside a cargo refrigerator. "You fool," he says, "the gas doesn't freeze." He pulls the bag out and opens it, only to find one of the gas cylinders is missing. He looks up, horrified to see Ethan holding the cylinder. In one move, Ethan shoves the traveler into the refrigerator, smashes the gas cylinder inside, and locks the door. The traveler dies within seconds from the concentrated poison gas. The plane lands back at the airport. As soon as Ethan gets off, the police arrest him. But Elena runs up and stops them, telling them Ethan is not the criminal. She approaches Ethan and asks about the bomb. He tells her it's in the fridge. She asks about the traveler. Ethan replies he's in the same fridge. Later, Ethan is with Nora by an ambulance. Elena comes over and thanks him for helping the police catch the criminal.
1 year passes. We see Ethan back at the airport holding his baby son. He and Nora are going on a Christmas vacation. And as Ethan puts his belongings in the security tray, we see him place his police badge among them. He finally achieved his dream and became a police officer. And the film ends